Next live, man.
Shout out Up Next Live.
Shout out Up Next Live.
Gang, it's the big step of the well-known flexer here with Up Next Live.
You know it's your girl BRITTANY, ELYSE, my dog DJ MK, and you are tapped inside the BEACHAM studios right here at the Martell Make Your Statement Bar. We got a special guest in the building. Give it up for our boy Bob.
What's goody? What's poppin'?
How you living today?
I'm blessed. Can't complain. How y'all feeling?
Amazing. Now you've been working. You've been working.
Start it right there.
Yeah, we gonna skip to the point. You've been working. So I guess I want to start with the last time you were in Orlando was actually at our sister venue, which is right behind us, the Social. And you had a little afro back then, but now you done got a makeover.
I did. You know, I'm a Gemini. I'm real impulsive. I just, you know what I mean? I get a feeling and I do it.
Yeah, you blonde now. I seen some blonde twists the other day on your Instagram. I said, oh, we done switched. We
definitely did.
Milky Way. This is not.
You know what I mean? Big milk. You got to come back outside proper after all this time.
That's a fact.
Now, so you were in New York through the majority of the pandemic. What was that like being locked down? Because you guys were locked down for a longer period than a lot of us. And also, what is some of the creativity that you were doing while you were locked down?
Yeah, I was actually in LA for the majority of it.
Okay.
My family was in New York though, so I was, you know, I brought my parents out here. A lot of my family came out here to stay because you know, you just have more space in LA to, you know what I mean, to kind of withstand something like a quarantine. I think at first it was a little weird because I have a very collaborative process. I like getting in the studio with a bunch of producers, musicians, artists, and you know, letting the magic happen. And that was obviously became kind of difficult to do with all the COVID restrictions. But what I did find is, you know, a little bit of solitude. You get time to really reflect on things, you know, and kind of face some issues and really it was a bit more like therapy this go around, just writing some of these songs, because it really was just me, myself, and the four walls around me.
Now, the last time we tapped in with you, you had just dropped the Milky Way. So I usually like to ask, like, how has your music evolved from last winter, which you dropped in 2014, to Too High to Riot, to Milky Way, to now? But I also want to throw in there, how has it changed in your growth process during the pandemic? Because you have to throw that in there, because now we have a whole nother situation that nobody's ever, nothing that anybody has ever dealt with. And like you said, you like to work with a lot of collaborators in the studio, and for once you weren't able to do this. So how do you feel like your sound has changed through those projects? And even let's throw in Revenge of the Dreamers 3 as well.
Right. I think with the sound, you know, I've been blessed to continuously keep meeting producers and musicians that inspire me and kind of help take the sound I have and elevate it, whether it's working with T- on the Jackie, who's one of my favorite producers ever, the homie Diesel out of Toronto as well, who I met through T-. He's been helping me on a lot of records on this album. It's just kind of trying to always expand your sound, come a little more creative, a little better, keep trying to keep your fan base on their toes, you know. But as far as the writing side of it, you know, like I said, I think in quarantine, we got to have a lot of conversations, whether it's your friends, lifelong friends, you know, talks you've never had with them. You know what I mean? Just trying to see where we all find our escapism, how we're all coping with certain things. And that was one of the benefits, I guess, of the lockdown, of quarantine, was everyone kind of had to face themselves and face whatever demons they had and really talk about it. You know, like we're not, as like young men, I guess, we're not really prone to expressing these things to each other. You know, you and your homies is kind of like a wolf pack at times. Like, you know, it's more about the good times than the down times. But I think I've heard things and I've said things to my friends this year, and these are people I've known 20 plus years. And all that was real inspiring. It really stuck with me.
I've heard a lot of people say, not even just artists, that the pandemic opened them up. Like there was an openness that came from like having all that solitude, that now they kind of like have evolved personally just as well as like adjusted to this like new normal that we like living through. But something about your music that I heard you mention is that you have been like focusing on also making singles as well as, you know, just making music that is just really genuinely true to you. So how do you differentiate that? Like, how do you know what is gonna go? And I guess like, how do you write different knowing that this is the style you're going to, or the record just like came together like organically, like the Jackie did, and you just know it's gonna go?
Yeah, I think that's the baseline is it always has to be organic. You know, it always has to feel like me. It always has to maintain my artistic integrity. Now the art of it, you know, I think the skill of it, the joy, the puzzle is, you know, maintaining all those things and still crafting these songs, these bigger songs, these singles, you know, your hit records, whatever you want to call it. But I think that's kind of the fun part for me. Like, is how do I make sure above all, like my core doesn't hear this song and go like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, what happened to Boss? Like that's never gonna happen. You know, at least that's my plan. But in the same token, it's how do you expand? How do you draw in new people? How do you make songs for more people to appreciate and for your audience to grow?
You talk a lot about how like you listen to a lot of the Brooklyn drill music as it's come out, and but then you say you like listening to street music, but being a part of Dreamville, it has a lot of conscious rappers. How do you fuse the two sounds? Because when you're listening to Jackie, you put people like Lil TJ on there, and we did hear Lil Birdie tell us that you got a record coming with Gunna.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it, but how do
Yeah.
you take those inspirations and fuse those sounds when you're creating?
I think that's the fun part. My process has always been very open and collaborative, but also definitely doing the Revenge of the Dreamers 3 sessions taught me a lot about just stepping back as an A&R, you know, as a producer, like not necessarily a beat maker, but as a producer of the song, you know, like where the bridge needs to come, where can you interject like a new vocal texture, you know what I mean, where the cadence needs to change, all of those things when you're working, you know, when you have these different artists that are open to collaborate, and shout out to TJ and Gunna, you get to be like, well, you know, how do I hear them in my world? How do I hear them in my sonic landscape? You know what I mean? And that's fun. That's like, it's like getting the A&R records for your peers in a sense. You just happen to be on them.
Now your parents are, well, you're originally from Paris and your parents are Sudanese,
Yeah.
Arabic, right?
Right.
Would you ever think about like incorporating that Arabic background and language into some of your music in the future?
Yeah, I would love to. I work with a few artists out of Sudan and out of, it's kind of like North Africa and the Middle East have like a pretty cool scene that's coming up. So I've collabed with like a few artists from out there. I would love to do more of that though, because, you know, every time I go home, it's, you know, just to feel that energy and see how they respond to it and how much pride they have in everything I'm doing. I'd like to definitely incorporate that a bit more into my own music.
I mean, what was playing in your household when you were growing up? I know Stevie Wonder was in my household. So
yeah, he was in mine as well.
Growing up.
He was in mine as well. My dad was a big Motown guy. My brother, I got an older brother, his name's DJ MoMA. He's probably my biggest musical influence. He was playing everything from, you know, Nas and Rakim to Daft Punk and Jamiroquai, you know what I mean? So it's just a really wide, eclectic sound. My sister was in a lot of West African music. My sister works for the United Nations now, but her whole life she's been, you know, very, very tapped in with the continent and like sounds coming out of Africa. So she was always putting me on the West African sounds. And then, you know, just a lot of New York rap outside of that.
Like your music is very worldly. Like you saying all that, it sounds like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, tell the people what is the Jackie. Now, my lovely friend here put me down earlier about what the Jackie is. Explain to people what the Jackie is.
Because we're in Florida.
We Florida.
Yeah. The Jackie, so it used to be called the Interborough Parkway because it takes you from Queens to Brooklyn. It was renamed the Jackie Robinson Parkway after, of course, legendary Jackie Robinson. And to me, it just kind of signifies this story that everyone goes through at some point growing up in New York, where you go to the bar, you go to the club, you go to the cookout, whatever the festival, you meet a girl and, you know, she's from Brooklyn and you're from Queens, or she's from the Bronx and you're from Queens, and you got to go up there and see her. So you're always kind of going in a borough and you pull up and it's always, you're going to feel the energy instantly. It's like 10 dudes on her block, because it's New York, summertime, everybody's outside on the corner, and they're going to grill you. They're going to be like, you know, like, who's this dude? Like, one dude might be her first boyfriend. One dude might be like crushing on her now. Like, you always know that energy. So I just wanted, I wouldn't call it summertime love, because it ain't love yet, but it's kind of part of that New York summertime early love story where you kind of getting to know this girl, but, you know, there's a bunch of haters on her block.
The record definitely has a summertime feel now. So now that you've explained that to me, for me from Philly, that would be like the Schuylkill. That'd be the Schuylkill. You got to hop on the Schuylkill to get anywhere, to get in the city.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, people hit you. So I was like, where you at? Oh, you know, I'm on the Jackie. I'll be there in 20, be there in 15, whatever the case may be.
So then for you going back to shoot the video, was it just like, were you reminiscent on a lot of times? Like, was it incorporating like your real experiences into like the vibe? Like, you know, how did it feel to be like shooting that video and be back in New York?
It was incredible. It was incredible because a lot of the quarantine, that was the longest I haven't been in New York, you know, in over 20 some odd years. So it was good to be back. All the homies came out. We shot in Queens, you know what I mean? I was home. You know, even Cole was like, he was busy that whole week. He's like, man, I got like 2 hours. Let's see if your director can just get all my shots in so I can slide. And he ended up staying like on set for like 8 hours. Like, it was just one of those shoots that was just like, everybody was just having a good time. We was kicking it. A lot of people hadn't seen each other in a while, you know. It was kind of like a reunion of sorts.
That's dope. I love seeing J.Cole as like your Uber driver. Like that's love.
Yeah, with the nutcrackers. You know that one obnoxious Uber driver that pick you up with the strobe lights and he's trying to give you mouthwash and all types of stuff. So that was definitely the inspiration.
No, mine is always the one that want to talk to me. I'm like, please don't talk to me, Uber. I just want to get to where I'm going.
It'd be like that.
Musically, where you guys created that song in the studio together, correct?
Right. Well, TJ wasn't with us, but me and Cole were working on the off season. Okay. And that was one of those sessions. We had wrapped up the song that we were working on. I believe it was Let Go of My Hand. And then he was just like, yo, let's just try something random. Let's do something new. You know, when you get in that cycle of trying to finish songs, you're just like working on the same song over and over. So we just wanted like a breather, and that ended up being the Jackie.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Well, look, you guys are actually about to go on tour. You're expected to be here in Orlando September 25th.
Sorry, my calendar.
Oh, girl, you got it locked in.
It's in my calendar,
Turn up.
When you first came to Orlando, like I said earlier, you did our venue, The Social, which is directly behind this wall. And now you're doing the Amway, which I believe the Amway holds about 40,000 people, 50,000 people, whereas this holds 400 people. So right. What is that like to you? Like you come into a city and you start somewhere and now you're going to somewhere larger. What does that mean to you?
It's part. I think a lot of people forget, especially nowadays with the digital age and with streaming, that your touring brand stands on its own, you know, and you have to work it as its own product. You know, you have to go to cities. You have to start in these smaller venues. You got to come back and you know, I have the blessing to support someone like Cole, so I get to come out on his stage and hopefully snatch some of the people that come to this arena, you know what I mean, to come to my next show. And you know, I think Ab-Soul was the first person I went on tour with. Shout out to Ab-Soul, shout out TDE. But it's very gratifying to see that work, you know, and to see it grow and to plant the seed and to come back a year later, 2 years later, and to see the progress, you know, to see one person bring 5 of their friends. You know what I mean? That's how 400 turns to 1,200, you know, turns to 3,500, turns to whatever. But I think that's one of the most gratifying parts of this whole thing is coming to cities and people buying your hard ticket. You know, they want to see you for an hour. They're going to spend their hard-earned money. They're going to spend their, you know, Friday night with you. And then the next time you come, if you do what you're supposed to do, you know, they're going to bring some more friends. They're going to put people And I think that's something that's kind of lost on people these days, but to me, it's still very gratifying.
Yeah, and I mean, I would definitely give yourself credit for the growth, because when I was looking at my Instagram, when I interviewed you at the radio station when we did the show, it was like, that was November 12th of 2018. So 3 years later, to go from 400 to, like she said, 40,000 at an Amway Center, like what the NBA plays at, like, you did that. Like,
for sure.
You definitely
Appreciate that.
Very much.
And we're gonna try to find a way to route you into where we're currently at, which is the BEACHAM Theater on Friday and Saturday nights. We do host club nights. So after the show, we're gonna find a way to funnel you right here for some more.
Yeah.
Right, Gia?
Yeah. Yeah, please do. Please do. I'm outside with it.
Well, one of our staple questions we always like to ask everybody, this is the Up Next Live segment. So for you, what is up next after the tour? What can we expect coming from you?
There's a bunch of festivals. Obviously, God willing, everything goes okay, and those things are still up and rolling. I'm just really excited to get back on stage. I haven't done a show this entire pandemic, so I'm just excited to see the fans again, do some real life activations, pull up on y'all, go to these cities, pull up to radio stations, like all these little things that we've taken for granted, I think, that were just part of the life. I'm just really looking forward to resuming those things. And then obviously getting an album out and, hitting the road and headlining my next tour. But right now, I think like all of us, I'm just looking for human connection and being around people again and getting to enjoy that and getting inspired and getting culture and turning that into inspiration.
Well, I did see where it said that we possibly could be getting a project in our fourth quarter.
That's the plan.
And possibly, we might be able to see if there's a WizKid feature coming in there. Listen, I be researching.
I need it. You do. Wiz is my guy. Shout out WizKid. He's an African legend for sure.
I think that your sounds fused together would definitely be just amazing.
I agree. We spoke on it. We just got to catch each other, in the right city. But I know he got a tour coming out here to the States, so I'm definitely gonna check that out and link up with bro.
Listen, I'm gonna be looking for that song. I'm gonna be looking for the song with Gunna. I'm gonna just be looking for the whole project. Don't worry.
Appreciate you.
Accountability, so it's gonna happen.
Appreciate that.
We want to thank you so much for tapping in with us today. We look forward to seeing you in a month, almost a month from now, when you come to Orlando. We're going to figure out how we're going to get you back in this building. Right.
I'm there. It's easy.
Gio, you heard it.
No, we definitely appreciate you. Congratulations on everything. New single to Jackie out now. Make sure you stream that thing. And we're going to run it up here as a DJ in Orlando, and I'll show you some love. Definitely appreciate you talking with us.
Appreciate the support. Thank you.